Really happy to have you all here with us today. Today, we're going to talk about dispatch, migration, simplified, how ready-mix producers can modernize faster with Sysdyne and faster and with less pain. We have two people with us today that are really qualified to bring you through this material. So first, I'd like to introduce Gage Hollingsworth, who comes to Sysdyne by way of both Taka and Slabstack, currently from the Houston airport, where we're hoping if he takes himself off of mute, we will not hear. Yeah, maybe give us a quick 180 if you can, Gage. Flight troubles have brought Gage into an unexpected corner of an airport today, but we're grateful he's with us. And then we also have Natalie Burkholder from our project management team. So Natalie runs the team that's actually responsible for bringing people onto the Sysdyne platform. And before Sysdyne had a lot of great years working in IT at Burnco, so she can kind of speak to it from both sides, both as somebody that's kind of been a part of IT projects, but also somebody that's kind of managed them from the actual software side. Before we dive into the content, just some housekeeping things. We cannot see or hear you. So if you do have any questions, please, there's a little kind of speech bubble in what I believe is the top right corner of your screen that has a little question mark in it. If you type any questions you have into that, we will be able to address them at the end of the webinar. So we'll make sure to get to all of those. All right, without further ado, I'll pass things over to Gage and Natalie to run you through all the stuff that we've got prepared for you today. All right, to you.
All right. So today, as Malcolm had mentioned, we've got our agenda. So we're going to discuss the challenge that many people experience through the whole migration and why it feels hard and why it doesn't necessarily need to feel hard. We're going to talk about our Sysdyne platform. What is that when we say one connected platform? What does that mean? Give you some real life examples of past customers or current customers and what their experience was with the implementation and moving over to Sysdyne, and then followed up with a Q&A session. So I think we've already talked about this. Malcolm already mentioned this. So just click on the question mark to ask a question, and we will be able to answer it after, as well as this will be recorded and we will post it later. And just a brief intro on Sysdyne. So we are an industry leader in cloud native end-to-end software for the ready-mix industry. We have 300 plus customers, both big and small, with a retention rate of over 95% and 120% net retention, industry leading NPS score of 69. So if you don't know what an NPS score is, it gauges your customer satisfaction. We've got around 100 employees with more than 45% of our customers in the engineering, which means that we are constantly improving the software to make it better and to cover off everything that is happening in the industry and requests that people have.
Absolutely. So let's get started. And I do apologize about this noise. Like Malcolm mentioned, I'm stuck in the airport, but that's okay. We're going to keep pushing forward. So, migration can feel daunting. I think change is often intimidating. And especially when you're changing systems, oftentimes it can lead to months and months of downtime. Typically, a legacy migration might drag on, and sometimes it can feel like there's no end in sight. And every time that these things are delayed and processes are kind of inefficient and maybe outdated, it's disruptive to operations. That leads to lost revenue. And it can also be frustrating for the end users as they're kind of stuck in limbo between systems. And again, using those manually outdated process. So yeah, it can definitely feel a little daunting at first.
And with some of that, like sometimes, like legacy migrations, like Gage had mentioned, have tended to drag on. You end up with disconnected systems. Like you have multiple different types of software doing different things, and they're all in different silos, which can create challenges and a drag and understanding where your data is and just some in general slowdowns through that whole process. But what we're going to talk about today is that it does not need to be that way, and what it means to have one unified platform and to eliminate all of those different silos from day one and how that can benefit you. So with that, we, saying that we have one unified and one connected platform, we have an entire quote to cash cycle. So everything from your quoting to your sales process to your batching, your manufacturing, the delivery of your product, as well as the invoicing to actually get paid for that product. So we have the full end-to-end suite with the quoting being slab stack, the dispatch being under Concrete Go, batching under Batch Go, delivery under Delivery Go, and invoicing under our AR, under our platform there, our application there. And so what that means from this perspective is that it is one platform that is built to work together. It is built to send data back and forward and throughout the whole system together. So you don't end up with different data in different systems. And so this is a unified platform. And with that, then we can manage a deployment in a much faster time frame because we are all the same platform. So just a bit about what does that mean in the sense of a project life cycle, and what would you expect? What could you expect when switching over to a product? So we've got outlined here is the, you know, the 8 steps that go into getting somebody implemented. So we've got, you know, the first step being, you know, is we set up a project and we scope that out. Like we do a discovery call with you and we talk about what is your business do, how do you do things, and we define what those requirements are for the system. How do you tend to work? How does that work with Sysdyne, and how can we do that? From there, then we can define and document the roadmap and look at what are the steps in there, getting the system build, which is the next step, getting all of your data, working with you to make sure that we've got the proper data and how that transfers to the Sysdyne environment, import all that data into our system. And if you see here, there's some weeks here. So typically the system build is around a 4-week time period to receive that data, make sure we understand it, make sure you understand it, and make sure that we are putting that into the right places within the Sysdyne environment. And then we've got about 2 weeks to get that data imported, make sure everything landed in the spot where we're expecting it to. Then the next step would be, is there any configuration testing and training? So that is going to be, which there obviously would be, is there anything else that we are connecting? Do you have a QC environment that we need to connect in? So working to make sure that that is all set up, that everything is working together, and then we start building out the testing and training with your teams. And that's about a 2-week time period. And then we validate at that. We do a UAT. Is it all now that all of your data is in? Is it working in the way which you would expect? Additional training, and then we've got go live, and then we are there to support you through the go live process and take you in there. So if you're looking at a, generally speaking, from end to end, you're looking at about a 12-week process from when we can get started and get a project manager assigned to when you are going live. So it is not, you know, months and months and months as you may have seen in the past. So we can get you up and running on all the products within a 12-week time span. I'll pass you over to Gage.
Awesome. Thank you, Natalie. So now that we've discussed a little bit about how migration can feel daunting, some of the opportunity costs that these legacy transitions can come with, let's take a look at some of these real world examples, starting with Croell. And so this is an example of connecting very large scale operations to end to end. And if you're not familiar with this company, they were founded in 1968 in northeastern Iowa. And since then, they have expanded into a powerhouse across central North America, ranging from Montana all the way up to Wisconsin and Wyoming, all the way down to Texas. So it might seem on paper like a very complex product rollout. And you can see this on the left-hand side of your screen. You might see the products they're currently using, that Concrete Go, which is dispatch, as Natalie mentioned. We're also using that Delivery Go for that automatic truck statusing, as well as the Batch Go to, of course, move those materials. So some of the challenges they faced were just disconnected systems across, again, a large geographical area, which creates operational gaps across these locations. You might be operating in different silos with data that is not connected. And there was also a bunch of manual handoffs that come when you do operate in silos, when the data is not unified, and when the full team, the correct parties, do not have access and visibility into the information that they need. So some of the solution is bringing in a unified ecosystem where Batch Go, Concrete Go, Delivery Go, they connect the entire operation, again, with a unified data set on the back end that provides that operational visibility, real world efficiencies, and actionable insights in real up-to-date manner. So that really helped eliminate those silos that we've discussed. It really eliminates a lot of that manual workaround because that data is imported and exported automatically with a few clicks of a button, or of course, automatically just with the integrations in place. And then again, you'll hear me say it again, that unified data source, that single source of truth is incredibly powerful because it just provides that operational efficiency, visibility into the underlying data so you can make quick decisions. And then let's talk a little bit about the results that we've seen across this company. Now they have well over 100 locations, all operating from that same unified system. We've been able to eliminate around 450,000 paper documents, which is substantial amount. And also, previously, they maybe had around 2 to 3% tolerance on the batching, which of course leads to increased costs through wasted materials. And since implementing Batch Go, those tolerances have dropped below 1%. So these are serious material savings that we can quantify and see by using these systems. And then, of course, back to that unified system, streamlined scheduling, streamlined dispatching, streamlined ticketing. Everything is connected in a nice, easy interface. That full quote to cash cycle that Natalie mentioned earlier. You can see a little bit of a statement that they were kind enough to give us is that Sysdyne gave us something we never had before, a front row seat to what's happening at our plants in real time. So really cool example, real example that has happened with an awesome company. And I think after this, we're going to go ahead and take a look at a different example. So we spoke about Croell. Now let's take a little bit different approach. So Warren's ReadyMix is a great company. They operate in one of the most difficult markets in the United States. That's near Houston, Texas. Not too far from where I'm stuck right now, actually. And so maybe you're a producer and you don't operate over 100 locations. So that's okay, because this is an example that might relate to you. Let's talk about how we were able to tighten their operations and help build for their growth. So some of the challenges, you can see that they started in 2021, a single plant, a handful of trucks, and like many companies that just start operating with Excel spreadsheets and then fully manual scheduling, which can be very, very complicated because you don't have any visibility into the key data pieces. You don't have visibility into your pricing structure, your cost structure, and the efficiency metrics do not exist. And so at times you might deliver the wrong mix design. You might not have the truck where it needs to be on time because you're, again, operating from a disconnected system in silos where people do not have the information that they need. And of course, that can impact your quality. It can impact liability, and all of these things come with risk and opportunity cost. So let's talk a little bit about some of the solutions that we are able to bring here. So they're currently running Concrete Go and Slab Stack, and this might be a little bit outdated because I believe they are now on Batch Go as well. So they're actually adding some more products there. And Concrete Go is that central brain, that central dispatch. It is a hub that connects these data and stores everything, again, in the unified ecosystem. And quotes entered into SlabStack automatically push those products, those prices, those additional services directly over to Concrete Go, which really minimizes the manual data entry and also minimizes the risk and errors that we all make when we're just typing away manually, as everybody can find that a little bit tedious certain days. Also, again, cloud-based real-time visibility across all plants from anywhere. So, the plant manager, maybe he's at lunch, maybe he's at a different office. He still has that visibility into their additional location.
Maybe he's stuck in the airport.
Exactly. And you still need to have that operational visibility, right? That's a perfect example. So let's talk a little bit about some of the results that we've been able to see there. So now, again, the ecosystem from quote to cash. The customer is able to get what they need in an efficient manner. And we're very proud to work with them, as Warren has been able to expand their operations. They've added additional locations. They now have over 35 trucks, and there's zero manual entry between quote to invoice. That risk of the wrong mix designs or wrong deliveries has been cut drastically. The customers are now to get exactly what they ordered on time that they expect. And adding new plants into this ecosystem and database is also completely frictionless, right? There's no training gaps. There's no more reintegration needed. The teams are already up and running. You expand the business, go ahead and get it set back up in our systems, and you're off to the races. So you can see another little bit statement that they were kind enough to give us in the lower left, that It's the brain of our operations. We just don't think about it anymore. It's seamlessly integrated into our daily lives. So that's a pretty powerful statement. And we are fortunate to have them as a customer. And now let's go ahead and talk one more example. So we talked about a really large scale operation spread across the geographical area, becoming connected. We also talked about starting a little bit smaller company in a massive market and how you're able to scale up and gain market share. And now let's talk about a different example about scaling up, growing from one plant to five plants without those growing pains, without those migration pains that we talked about in the beginning. And if you're not familiar with Kost Materials, they're up in North Dakota. They're a legacy family company. Their name is actually renowned in what's called the Red River Valley for over 70 years. And we're very fortunate to work with them and help them grow their business. So some of the challenges that they faced, let's talk about those. The prior dispatch systems that they used, their pricing structures were quite a bit different than ours, being charged per truck, charged per user fees. And as you scale up a business, you add more users, you add more trucks, you add more assets, that cost burden starts to increase rapidly as well. Also, the support and speed of development is tough to match. As your company grows and you're gaining more market share, you need a solution and you need support that is able to move at your speeds. And that was something that they faced because, again, as you're scaling up, what might have seemed like a small delay at first starts to really become much more impactful for the business and, of course, for the revenue. And then also the fleet is spread across multiple locations and they didn't have visibility or a great tool to coordinate these assets and make sure things are moving at the right time. So let's talk now a little bit about some of the solutions that we're able to bring into this business. They're currently using Concrete Go for dispatch, as well as that Delivery Go for your truck tracking, statusing. And the great thing about Concrete Go is it's a flat rate annual subscription. You can add additional users or licenses, is maybe a different term you may have heard in the past, but we do not charge for each of these new users or for these additional licenses. So it's a pretty nice streamlined technology and great tools. And then also that Delivery Go, the GPS tracking with geofencing. So, the truck gets loaded up with your materials. It leaves the plant. That triggers a geofence. It sends a text message or an email to your customer and they say, hey, first load of the day is on the way. Everybody get ready. So that automatic truck statusing, that communication with the customers really cuts down on just that back and forth with dispatch. Customers call and saying, hey, where are the materials? What time are they going to be there? Make sure they come in from the south entrance. All of those things can be automated and connected correctly with Delivery Go and Concrete Go, which therefore allows your dispatch to do more meaningful work than just try to coordinate with the customer directly because we know where the assets are and they're going to be on time. So we were able to bring in this combined platform, simplified dispatch, really minimize that radio chatter, like I mentioned, and then again, give you that unified fleet view across all of the various assets. This allows your teams at the plant to focus on their pressing issues rather than handling phone calls. Then let's talk about some of the results that we've seen. So they're able to grow from one plant and around 12 trucks to now they have 5 plants and over 80 trucks and around 100 employees. So that's some pretty serious growth in the last decade they've had. We're also able, again, to cut down on that radio chatter, to cut down on that back and forth between customers and dispatch and drivers and have that visibility across the fleet. And then again, we are a scalable cloud native platform which is continuing to support their multi-location expansion as they gain more market share and spread across their region. So pretty cool examples that we've discussed with 3 different companies. And we've got one more statement that they've been kind enough to share with us, that the geofence and auto status features have helped cut down on radio chatter and constant back and forth between drivers and dispatch. So pretty impactful statement, pretty powerful. And again, we're fortunate to work with these awesome companies.
So thanks, Gage. So then looking at the common threads, so what is technology that works on your timeline? So as we mentioned, and I had talked about briefly there, was the fast deployment. So we can get you deployed within weeks. So we can get you up and running faster. You're not looking at taking down, when do I schedule this? It's this season, it's that season. We can set a realistic go live date and build it out from there within deployed within weeks. And again, to reiterate, the one platform, we have quoting, dispatching, batching, delivery, and invoicing all connected. No silos, no workarounds. So for anybody who has tried to build out reporting or understand your batching efficiencies based or with your round trip turnaround time and how well am I scheduling and how efficiently, and you're trying to put that together from multiple different systems with different data sets, and maybe the ease of pulling that data is very difficult. Having one platform where all of that is connected makes it incredibly simple, as well as it is one data set. So the information that is on the batch side is the same information that's on the dispatching side and is on the delivery side. It's not, you're not having to reinterpret and understand that it is connected and everything is meant to talk to each other.
Absolutely, Natalie. And of course, the benefit of everything we've been talking about is that we demonstrate real results. We see these operational efficiency gains, the improved customer experience, and that foundation for lasting growth. So it's been pretty awesome to see how these tools are used in the real world with real producers across different markets. And they use these tools to strengthen that foundation so that they can have lasting, sustainable, and scalable growth using that unified ecosystem for the full quote to cash cycle. So it's been pretty awesome to witness this. And then that last point you'll see on the right side of your screen, that the great thing about all these tools we've been discussing is they are built specifically for producers in mind, right? These tools aren't something that people who manufacture widgets in the factory were using, and then we're trying to take that tool and apply it to our industry. These tools are built from the ground up by seasoned ready mix professionals. We are constantly innovating, constantly evolving, constantly improving. And every one of these features, every single thing that we do is designed, created, and built specifically with ready mix operations in mind, and with that feedback from customers and input from customers, so that we are trying to design these tools and deliver them in a way that actually impacts their operations in a positive way. So again, the technology is awesome and it works on their timeline. We're seeing these real results. It's built for these producers. It's that one unified platform. And again, Natalie and the team are quick and speedy at these fast deployments.
And coming into, so once you are up and running, what does support look like after that? So support that then drives the results. So we have a fully dedicated support team that is all US based. They are completely, all their job is to support Concrete Go, Delivery Go, Batch Go, AR, as well as Slapstack. So that is their primary and number one focus. So, which just means that they're with fewer products, then the support is focused. It's faster, and they are able to get you the answers that you need. So, with that focus care, then you're getting the independent and customer first service there. So also within all of the packaging of how this is, the SaaS pricing has worked, is all of the support is automatically included within the entire package. So it's not a separate line item that you have to, that you need to pay for if you want support or don't want support. It's there for everybody. It's also very human centric. So you're talking to real people, real time, 24/7 multi-channel help. So there is somebody that you can get a hold of at all times in order to get your help, to get your question resolved as well. And because of that all leads to having a loyal customer base with their 95% retention, because all of the customer has the one support team and implementation team. You have a dedicated technical account manager as well as the commercial team to bring that all together for you to make sure that you're getting all of your questions answered in a timely and way that works for you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, Natalie. So why Sysdyne, right? Of course, many solutions exist in 2026 in a globalized economy. So let's talk a little bit about why Sysdyne, because producers deserve software that speeds them up. So again, we talked about that speed to deployment, that speed to value. Deployments in weeks, those real return on investments, whether it's through material savings, cutting down on chatter at dispatch, or providing visibility across different operations in different markets. There's not a multi-month long implementation and projects that eat up your time and budget that also come with additional opportunity costs that might even be hard to quantify. And again, this platform and all the tools that we're talking about, this entire unified ecosystem has been built specifically for concrete producers. It's not generic fleet software. It's not an ERP bolt-on. This is, again, purpose built from the ground up with ready-mix concrete producers in mind. And because of this mindset, because it's a unified ecosystem, it is a very scalable foundation, right? Whether you're running one plant or you're running 10 plants or you're running 110 plants, Sysdyne grows with you. We help minimize that complexity while bringing operational efficiency gains across your businesses. And then again, have you heard us talk? Like the beautiful thing about having this single unified data system and all of these platforms is they are completely integrated and running from one database, not disconnected silos. Everything is tied together from the first quote to that final invoice. Nothing is going to fall through the cracks. It's very easy to manage this process when you have the correct tools in place. So for that quote to cash cycle, you send it to the customer using a mobile application. They approve it. You can hit a button and it's going to create that project back in dispatch. And now your team can get ready to be ticketed. So really, really nice streamlined process. And then as Natalie just mentioned previously, that customer experience that we've seen, give your customers the real-time visibility and reliability that turns one-time orders into repeat business. They know that they can count on you. They know they don't have to call dispatch to see where the truck is because they can actually track it from their own device. They can also reach out and reorder directly through these systems. And again, it's just awesome when your customers, you, and everybody can operate cohesively and make sure that these tours and these projects that keep building the communities that we're all fortunate to live in continue to move forward at the correct pace and with the correct quality. So then another thing that we've talked a little bit about support, but one thing we definitely do need to bring up is that our support is entirely based in the United States. So that way, you know, somebody, when you're speaking with our support, they know what's going on with your account. They know you, they know your team. And again, it's just awesome that you don't have to go through a crazy phone tree. We've got dedicated technical account managers. We've got dedicated support. We've got that 24/7 hotline. And again, we try to support our customers and meet them where they are. So we've had some pretty good success with our support teams, the speed to value, this purpose-built platform for the full quote to cash cycle that uses a unified data system on the back end, fully integrated across all of these tools. So those are just some of the reasons why Sysdyne.
So that kind of wraps up what Gage and I had to chat with you guys about today. So just looking to see, was there any questions that had come in, Malcolm?
We got some good ones. I'm going to dive right in. So here's one. We use Command today, but are looking at other tools they don't have. Can this product be integrated into Command Batch, for example?
Yes, absolutely. So not to get too technical, but we use the U-Link to connect to Command Batch, the same as Command Series would connect to Command Batch. So it is the same point of connection.
Right. Another one kind of in a similar vein, gaining all the efficiencies the quote to cash suite offers would be the goal. However, thinking that might be too big of a bite at one time. Does Dispatch or Concrete Go currently integrate with other batch systems like Give Enhanced Go or Command? That way, getting the nerve center installed first and then pick off batch plants at a later date.
Absolutely. So you can go with one or all product, but each product does absolutely work with other applications out on the market. So you can certainly take a slower approach to implement one thing at a time, and or if you wish to keep one thing on a different platform, you can certainly do that. And we are we connect to all of them.
Absolutely. And just to expand a little bit on that, depending on the size of the company, depending on the time of the year and the size of the market, sometimes a staggered approach and a staggered rollout might make sense, right? To make sure that maybe it's in the middle of your busy season and you want to start making some changes. Well, Natalie and her team are incredibly skilled at creating that roadmap, creating those timelines, and then hitting those goals to keep your business moving forward. And again, connected with these various applications.
All right. Here's another one, which is, we spent a lot of time on the webinar talking about Sysdyne and what Sysdyne can do to make these migrations easier. But what do you see producers doing, or what can producers do to get themselves and their data ready for a migration?
Good question. Generally speaking, it would be, it's a great opportunity to possibly clean up your data. Do you have a lot of old mix designs that you haven't used in years that are still in your system? Do you need to bring them over? Same with customers, or is your account information up to date? What is the information that you actually need? And maybe there's something about the way that your old system was working that, you've maybe had to kind of tweak something to make it work the way that you wanted it to work. So it's an opportunity to redesign and rethink about your business processes in a more modern sense, as well as doing some housekeeping with your data cleanup, and really just take a look at the information that you truly need and want, and not necessarily the decades of old data that is not pertinent anymore to your day to day.
Great. So I think we'll do one more, and then I think we can wrap. How long does implementation actually take for our multi-plant operation, and what does our team need to do during that process?
So as I had mentioned through the presentation, if you're, let's say you're under 8 plants, then we've got that nailed down to about a 12-week time span. There's a lot of assumptions being made there, in that we receive your data in a timely manner, that we've got a dedicated resource from your team to go through. But we can, from kickoff to go live, could be within 12 weeks. Sometimes it's even shorter. If you're larger, then we tend to tack on a couple more weeks there, just due to the sheer volume of data and complexity sometimes that we see. And as far as what can your team do, we work with you once you've gone ahead and signed that deal and everything's moving ahead. We have a full discovery call with you to kind of understand your business more. How are you doing things? What are some of the challenges you do have? And then really work with you to make sure that you're getting the proper training, and then all those points that you have, and the data is the way that you want it. And that's, so having a dedicated team on your side would absolutely help that process, and ensure that it's a lot more seamless from that perspective.
Wonderful. Okay, we just got one last one. So I think let's call this one the last one. Does the current suite of products contain any modules regarding inventory management?
Yes. Now that would be, we'd want to just probably have a deeper discussion about what is being considered inventory management. Is this your receipt of third-party material purchases? Is this managing your in-house inventory? Is this, which inventory? There's many different facets to inventory, so it would probably be a deeper discussion. But there is the ability to have, to be able to see that full exposure into, what do I have? How much have I sold? What's coming down the pipeline? What do I need to purchase? There's the ability to track all of that information.
Wonderful. Well, I think that is all from us today. We'll give everybody, let's see, nine minutes back from the scheduled time. Gage, Natalie, thank you both so much for being on and sharing your wisdom and experience today. Thank you to all of you for joining. Really appreciate the time. And Gage, good luck getting out of the Houston airport. I hope that whatever is ailing your flight, we can resolve it quickly. So, all right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, not pointing any fingers. All right. All right. Well, have a great rest of the day, everyone. And again, thanks so much for being on with us. If we help you in any way, there's our URL. Okay.
Have a great week. Thank you.
Good one. Bye, everyone.